Hi, this is Stu from Mobile Geeks, and today we're going to look at two quite large 5.5-inch screens that are very similar in a lot of ways and also very different. This is the OnePlus One, and this is the Oppo Find 7. Let's take a look, huh? Right, so here we have the Oppo Find 7, which is the flagship device from Oppo, based in Shenzhen in China. And this is quite an expensive device. This is 650 bucks or even more if you try and get hold of this on Amazon. But over here we have the OnePlus, which is touted to be a flagship killer. So I guess today's video is partly, does the OnePlus truly annihilate the possibilities of the Oppo Find 7? Straight away, you look at the two devices, you can see they're both the same form factor, they're both very similar in size. There's a difference, of course, in design, because the One has a very attractive kind of aluminium band which kind of goes around the edge, whereas the Find 7 is a much more kind of conventional design with this band here that joins the front display to the back. I'll just turn these guys on so you can see the screens. Here we go. Now the first thing you might notice there is that I have to turn on the Oppo Find 7 on the left. Oh, just get out of there. But I actually turn on the OnePlus on the right, and for me, straight away, I mean, I prefer it on the right. This is much more natural for me. Okay, but let's just look at, first of all, the similarities. Both of these devices run the same CPU platform. They both run the Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 at 2.5 gigahertz. This is currently probably the fastest, best performing CPU or processor that you can have in a smartphone. And both of these guys also have 3 gigabytes of RAM. Other similarities include these are both 5 megapixel selfie cameras on the front, but if I just flip these over, on the back we have two 13 megapixel cameras backed by dual LEDs. So far the spec sheet's looking very similar. In terms of internal storage, there are some differences. This guy is available, the OnePlus One is available in 16 or 64 gigabyte configurations, whereas the Find 7 is only available at 32 gigs. So we have the USB ports on the bottom. The headphones are also at opposite sides. You see they're very different. But I think one of the main differences, if we're looking at the build of these two things, of course, it's the back here. On the Oppo, we have what I would describe as quite a plasticky feeling plastic. It's not polycarbonate. It's not made of any special fiber or even cashew nuts or anything fancy like that. It's just plastic, and it feels like plastic. It is also removable, so you can get in there and add a micro SD card, something in fact which the OnePlus does not do. It does not support micro SD cards. But if we're looking at the design quality here, this absolutely feels fantastic. I mean, there's just, I don't know how to describe this to you except to say it's a black sandstone cover is how it's described, and it actually kind of feels like stone. They've done a really excellent job of making this polycarbonate plastic not feel like plastic. The other good thing is that if you take it out of the SIM slot here, you can actually wangle your way in and remove the back cover, and OnePlus offer a series of very attractive back covers which you can play around with. Some of them actually look quite stunning. You have wood and marble and quite ceramic looking back covers. Okay, so we've looked at the similarities. What can we find any other differences? Well, straight away, I mean, the build quality, they're similar. They're both showing very good build quality, but there is a difference in weight. Actually, the Oppo Find 7 is 171 grams, whereas the One here is only 162 grams. So it's a little bit lighter. I guess the aluminium frame used in here is a little bit lighter to the one used in the Find 7. So although what we're looking at is pretty much identical hardware in terms of the sensor and the lenses and the dual LED, the sensor, of course, from Sony, actually the cameras are a little bit different when it comes to the app. Let's first of all take a look at what Cyanogen have given us here on the OnePlus One. So if I just point that at our little robot, you see? Okay, so where are my settings? I can go in here and I can change a lot of the very basic settings related to the camera or indeed the video. But what if I want to, use some filters or some different modes? It's kind of unintuitive, I kind of think, to have it kind of like this. Okay, we're using these in real time, but I think first-time users are going to be a little bit confused here, just as to where all these filters are. So I don't know, I think, my honest opinion is I think this camera app, it's trying to be as simple as possible, but I think they've kind of gone a little bit overboard. It's not going to be too easy for, especially first-time users and people maybe who aren't smartphone enthusiasts. Let's just get out of that. Now, if we look at the smartphone app, or sorry, rather the camera app here on the Oppo Find 7, I think this is a much more familiar kind of interface. I can look at all of the different settings for the camera. These are kind of deep settings here, I would describe them as. But if we want filters, they're just here and they're ready. And that's all of the filters that we have. And it's really quite easy to understand and very, very simplistic. One other good thing about the front, we've got the front, yeah, hey, hi Nicole, how you doing? There's the front-facing camera. You can just flick between those very easily. I think, if I'm being honest, the cameras are similar, but I would probably call that a draw. As I mentioned earlier, both of these guys have 5.5-inch displays, and they're both LCD IPS panels. You might think, okay, it's pretty much the same display, and if we're looking at viewing angles and whatnot, we can actually see that they both perform very well in terms of colors and general performance. Brightness, we've got both these screens on a full brightness. They're actually quite similar. The main difference, however, is that this guy is actually 1440, so it's got a higher resolution of 2560 times 1440 pixels. So this is what we're calling QHD, and this is just regular old full HD. Now both of these displays are actually made by JDI, who is a kind of a conglomeration, or I guess a joint venture between Sony, Toshiba and Hitachi. So they're both very, very good quality displays. However, I'm going to give Oppo the nod here, because I think QHD actually is the future, and I think people appreciate having extra pixels. Having said that, if we move on to software quickly, as you can see, I think in terms of look and design that the OnePlus One definitely is the winner. What we've got here is Cyanogen 11S. We'll just go into settings here. You can kind of see this is kind of, if you've used Cyanogen before, it's a bit similar to a vanilla Android experience, I would say, but with a lot more flair and tons of customization options. Look at one customization, we can actually change the scroll effect. I think this is pretty cool. We can go from stack to accordion, or flip, or cylinder in, carousel. I mean, this is just, I love the way you can change pretty much every aspect of the phone here. If we do a similar thing over here on the Find 7, we have effects. And they've given us tilting and vivid mode. Just the three. So yeah, okay, you can customize. I think this is kind of indicative of the OS as a whole. You can customize this guy. You can go into settings, and there are lots of things you can play around with. I mean, as you would expect from an Android experience generally, but having said that, you're not getting anywhere near the kind of customization that you're getting with Cyanogen. One other major difference is that Cyanogen kind of looks cooler. Let's compare these icons here. Let's take this dialer icon. I mean, this is just, what else could that be? That is a phone. It looks like a phone. I think in any language, in any part of the world, even in the jungles of the Amazon rainforest, that looks like a phone. Let's look over here. What have we got? We've got a kind of a picture of a dialing pad with a little phone attached to it. This is kind of trying to show too much like reality. Again, compare the camera app here. That's a camera. You can see immediately that's a camera. What's this? It's a circle. It's a lens. It's got purple inside it. They're trying to create reality rather than icons, I think. I think they've kind of missed the trick. Whoever designed this OS needs to take a lesson in iconography. I mean, look at the settings logo here compared to the settings here. It's about simplicity. We don't need this much detail. It just detracts from the whole experience. So I think Cyanogen is not just very customizable, it's also very, very attractive. And one of the other great things about Cyanogen is that you can install and download lots and lots of different themes. And some of these themes absolutely look astounding, you know? You're not getting the same level of theme choices over here on the Oppo 7. So, in conclusion, well, what can you say? This guy, the OnePlus One, is half the price of the Find 7. In terms of raw specifications, they're very, very similar. But overall, you're getting a better OS. You're getting a very similar, oh no, wait, what is it? Cameras equal, OS, he wins. OS, he wins in terms of display. Okay, got it. All right. 3, 2, 1. So what do we think in conclusion? Well, first of all, the biggest factor for me has to be price. This guy is around $300 if you can get hold of it. It's kind of notoriously difficult to get hold of it, but if you can, it's only $300, which is an incredible price for this level of hardware. Over here, you've got a very similar level of hardware, identical actually in most respects, but it's going to cost you a lot more. It's going to start around $600 or maybe $650 US, depending on where you go. But does the Oppo have anything going for it? the screen. We all want Quad HD. 1440p is the way to go. And I really like that they've gone ahead and tried to push the boundaries of smartphone technology with a QHD display. And that's one of the major factors that's going to attract people to the Oppo Find 7. In terms of the camera experience, I would probably call it a draw. They're using similar hardware, but I think even though the OnePlus does have some special features such as 360 panorama, and really high frame rates on 720p video recording, I think actually the software, the camera app itself, kind of lets it down a little bit. In terms of performance, they're also very equal. The Qualcomm 801 is pretty much the same. I would also say though, however, that the Cyanogen OS, although it kind of does have a few, I would say, creaks, it's not quite perfect. It's something that they're still working on. Cyanogen OS is much more attractive than Color OS that you have in the Find 7. So there you are. Very similar, but we have to give this to OnePlus. It's pretty much unbeatable, and it's still the flagship killer. Thank you. This is Stu from Mobile Geeks. If you like stuff like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See ya.